Andrew McGahan here alongside John Ferguson. John, I think I say this after every event, but would you say that was the best Cage Contender event so far?
So how do you quantify what the best is?
Well, let's go from the prelims. 2 decisions and the rest action-packed. The Paddy Copeland fight, honestly, was one of the quickest fights I have ever seen.
That is more proof that midget fights rock. You know, those guys, they're like 55 kilos each. Paddy Copeland looked like a Brock Lesnar doll with his shorts on. You know, it was great.
Just on the topic of flyweights,
Mm-hmm.
any plans for a title, Cage Contender flyweight title? No.
The talent pool is too small.
But a lot of
Like the fighters actually.
a couple of the bantamweight guys have said they may drop. I know Barry McGuigan said tonight and Steve McComb both said that they'd rather fight at a lower weight. So is it something you consider if the talent became big enough, or?
Of course, yeah. You know, it's like anything. If it puts posteriors onto plastic, I'll do it. You know, it's about selling tickets. It's about getting bums on seats and about building the fighters and the Cage Contender brand sort of, you know, in a parallel. If there's a want for it or the talents are, will do it.
You said the Cage Contender brand there, and you said something to me before about how the area is as important as the fighters on the card, because it's the fighters from the local area that bring the people.
Yeah,
to
that's
the
right.
venue.
You know, I said this actually to another journalist today. If I dropped the Cage Contender brand in the morning, I'd still sell 3,000 tickets a show, because people come to watch the fighters. Okay, I promote, but really, I hire a room, I put a cage in the middle, and I put chairs in. The fighters are what brings people to Cage Contender. Not me. As much as I'd love to say it is me, let's be honest, it's not.
So obviously, just for people at home or people in the UK who may not get this, you wouldn't put Owen Roddy on a Belfast card because Owen Roddy, the heart of Dublin, the guys.
Owen Roddy
the
won,
guys
won his
flat.
title on a Belfast card against Shane Thomas from Dublin, and he still sold lots of tickets. It has to, any fight we put on has to be meaningful, and I say this every time: meaningful for the promotion, meaningful for the fighters, and meaningful for the fans.
If you go meaningful for the promotion, there was a couple of people, myself included, skeptics beforehand. If Arnie won the title tonight, it's a bit of a stalemate now with Cahill as the regular champion, Arnie as the interim champion. Have we seen the last of Cahill in Cage Contender?
You need to ask Cahill Pendred and John Kavanagh. They haven't told me that. You know, at the end of the day, we have titles and they need to be active. So this is a way of keeping titles active, which is, you know, it gives us some selling points. And again, you know, it means that Arnie now as the interim champion, if Cahill has other commitments, well, Arnie can defend his interim belt. You know, Arnie signed
Frank Mir style.
Yeah, Arnie signed a 3-fight deal with us. Wayne Murray signed a 3-fight deal with us. And tonight, you know, both those lads put it down. And
Phoenix.
oh man, we had no knockouts. And then we got 2 knockouts in the last 2 fights. Not even I could write that script.
One SPG guy to another, Chris Fields, has said he would be interested in fighting Dean Lister. Was that a fight you're interested in putting together, assuming the stars align? John Kavanagh told us earlier he's probably going to fight New Year's Eve and then he's going to have an operation. So
And then there's no point us having this conversation about it, you know.
Because in
we
a year's time,
take these things as they come. You know, we're back in Dublin, I think it's February 23rd. Before that, we've got Cage Contender Fight Stars in Liverpool with myself and Chris Dorr. We're doing a joint promotion with 10 grand prize funds. You know, I ain't got a crystal ball. They'll take the, as you say, the stars are in a line, the ducks are in a row. I'll do it.
any word on Paul McVeigh? Is the
No.
nothing?
Paul's moved to flyweight now. So that's it. He's a flyweight. Paul's a great guy. We wish him every success.
And there was a little bit of controversy on Facebook a while ago between Ali McLean and Miles Price. Now, Miles has probably fought at a lot of different weight classes, or at least said he was going to fight at a lot of different weight classes. But, as we said, if the stars align, would that fight interest you, assuming it's for a title? Because I don't mean to disrespect.
You've read the Facebook, and I know you can read, so, and you've seen I offered the fight. So yes, of course it does. Ali McLean will sell tickets in Belfast. Hands down. So if that fight happens, it will happen on a Belfast card, because it'll do a decent amount of ticket sales, and it's worth doing. You know, all these things, every fight's put together in Cage Contender on its own merit, And again, there's a financial merit in amongst that. Does this fight make us money? Does it lose us money? You know, we're a business, so we have to look at things in a business manner. And that is one business deal I'd be happy to do.
You mentioned about your signed fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Gorey moved up to middleweight tonight
Mm-hmm.
to take on a very, very tough Ronan McKay. Are you a little bit disappointed with Gorey since he's that's 2 losses on a bounce, or?
Look, it's the game we're in. Look how he went through Kieran Davern. You know, he'll bounce back and get him back on. Hope he get a win under his belt, then move on.
And a few more quick fire questions here, John. In my opinion, Joe McColgan is one of the future stars of Cage Contender. Was he a fighter you'd be interested in getting tied down to a deal so another promotion couldn't come in, or?
You'll need to speak to Joe McColgan.
Is there something in the pipeline that you're?
You know me better than most fans, or you can make your own decision on that.
Okay. And something myself I've been wondering is Norman Park, Chris Fields, Cathal Pendred, these guys are your champions. And obviously you're not going to begrudge them for moving forward in their career. Do you get any sort of financial gain for those guys moving on and not being able to?
I don't get any financial gain from that. What I do get is an immense sense of pride that Cage Contender has catapulted or helped catapult people to the next level. This year Norman's gone to UF as our champion, and I think he'll probably end up with a UFC contract. Gunnar Nelson has gone directly from a Cage Contender fight to a UFC fight. And that's not me trying to claim any credit for Gunnar going to UFC, but
he did fight a Cage Contender
twice, and his last one was there. You know, the promotion is about 3 years old now. We haven't been doing this very long. We don't have the heritage that others have, but we can think outside the box, and we put on a good show.
Look at the venues. I can remember, I think my first show in the King's Hall, maybe half the amount of people that were here tonight were at that show. And the numbers have just gone up and up and up. How long before you conceived moving venue because of capacity?
No point. You know, I would rather sell 3,000 tickets in one venue and pack it out than get a bigger venue, a bigger expense, and sell 3,500 in a 6,000, and you lose that Cage Contender atmosphere. It's a big thing in what we do. You heard the noise tonight at ringside. It's a big thing of what we do.
Personally, I thought those times tonight it was bigger than Roddy and Googly, or bigger than Wayne and Robinson.
Without question. The most noise I've ever heard at one of our shows was tonight.
Thank you, John, and very best of luck for the Cage Contender 5-star show in Liverpool.
Thank you. Well done.